morning, brothers and sisters. I've been here for almost 2 years. I was in Hanfa Chun and I was talking to some of the congregation here. So it's thank you, Pastor Yip, to give us this opportunity to preach again here. Thank you, Bianca, for her wonderful testimony, how she was called by God to share the gospel. I think everyone sitting here like to preach gospels. But why I picked up this title and message, just to make sure that everyone is flamed to preach gospel. Preaching gospel is a wonderful thing, but how can we preach the gospel like Paul? He's very passionate to preach the gospel. So that's why I want to take out these 2 verses and try to encourage us to preach the gospel, both you and I. No, it sounds very familiar to every one of us here. I believe that pastors have on various occasions encouraged us to preach the gospel. But regretfully, some would like to follow the pastor's example, but some don't. Or some do it passionately, but some do it half-heartedly. All of us want to preach the gospel, but we have also have a lot of excuses. I don't know how. I'm so busy. The bottom line is, why me? Right? We've got so many members sitting here. Why me? Why not the guy sit next to me? Right? It's very common thinking in our hearts. Like in the seminary, we have about I would say about 60, 70 odd students. Why not the one sit next to me to become the missionary? Why me? So that's this kind of question always in our mind, and some of them are very legitimate. Like I don't have time. I have no training. But normally this can be fixed. That can be rectified. I suspect that the main reason why me is not anything. It's just why not me. If you answer the question why not me, then you will go out and preach. You will go out to share the gospel with your friends, your family, your colleagues, your classmates maybe. Now we know that there's a man called Paul. His passion of preaching gospel was hardly surpassed. Not only did he preach the gospel with passion, he also encouraged others to do so. In 2 Timothy, he told his son, of course it's not his I would say biological son, but his spiritual son, Timothy. He told him to preach the word, be prepared in seasons and out of seasons, correct, rebuke, and encourage with great patience and careful instructions. But you keep your head in all situations, endure hardship, do the work of an evangelist, that is also the one who shares the gospel. Discharge all the duty of your ministry. When Paul wrote this letter, he's heading to the grave, I would say. He's going to be beheaded by the Roman king. So he told his son, Timothy, you've got to preach the gospel because it's your duties. Verses 15 is the duties of your ministries. Now don't get it wrong, because you say that I wasn't Bianca, she was called to be a pastor, to be. Don't talk to me. I'm not pastor here. I'm not Andrew Lamb. So I don't have the duty of ministry. But remember, when Jesus was taken up into heaven, he gave every one of us the Great Commission in Matthew chapter 28. He instructed us to preach the gospel to the end of this world. So that is our ministry of this congregation, of every churches in the world. So that's why Paul asked Timothy to preach the gospel, because it's his duty of ministry. Now let us take a look at verse 15 that we just read. Paul was eager to preach the gospel to the Romans. We know that when Paul wrote this letter, Paul wasn't in Rome, or hasn't been in Rome. But why? Why did he have that sort of passion? I haven't seen you. I don't think that I have any passion to you, right? You haven't seen me. You don't know Evangel Seminary. So you don't have any passion on the work of Evangel Seminary, except I think Dr. Kang. He's obligated to, because he's our director, board of director. If you don't know the seminary, if you don't know me, why you have passion on this? That is the key point I want to point out. His eagerness is to preach to everyone in this world, irrespective of, at that time, Greek, non-Greek, wise and foolish. That means everyone in this world. He's eager to preach. His eagerness, brothers and sisters, that is very important. Do we have the eagerness to preach? If we don't have the first step, we don't have the eagerness to preach, then why we go into this world and face the opposition from our so-called enemy, those who don't believe? The non-believer, they may have a lot of questions for us, a lot of hard questions for us, and some questions that even the theologian doesn't know how to answer. Loads of questions. If you don't have the eagerness, you don't have the drive, you don't want to do that. Now, why Paul has that sort of eagerness? Because he's considered himself obligated to do so. He's asked by God to send out God's messages. He considered that he owed everyone a debt of spreading out the gospel. He thinks that, oh, I owe him a debt. I must repay it, right? In Matthew chapter 18, verses 21 to 34, Jesus told a parable. He said that if someone owes a debt to another one, he must pay it in full before he can be released, right? So, I mean, in Hong Kong, it's quite different. So we can go to the court and say, oh, I don't have money. I just I just go bankrupt. That's it. Clean it off. But in Jesus' time, that wasn't the case, right? You have to pay all your debt before you can be released. That is the rule. So that's why Paul considered himself a debtor to all. He owed everyone a duty or an obligation to spread the gospel, because that is the nature of the debt he has to repay. Now, when we look again at another message in 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verses 16 to 17, where he said that, "For when I preach the gospel, I cannot boast. Since I'm compelled to preach, woe to me if I don't preach the gospel. If I preach voluntarily, I have a reward. If not voluntarily, I'm simply discharging the trust committed to me." Now you see that Paul considered his obligation is some sort of compulsion from God. He has to discharge his duty because something inside him to make him do so. Have you got something inside you to make you to do something? You think again. I always got that. When I'm hungry, when I look at the jar of chocolate, there's something inside me to reach out my hand and pick up the chocolate. I like chocolate anyway. So that's why I'm getting fatter and fatter. There's something inside me to pick up the chocolate and eat. That is the compulsion, right? That's something you have to do to satisfy your desire. Paul has got the desire to preach the gospel. So that means if he didn't do that, he considered his damn, right? If I don't eat my chocolate, I consider myself died, dead already, without energy, completely exhausted, even though I'm full. So you see the attraction. You see the desire to complete your mission, to complete what you want to do. That is compulsion. That's how Paul looked at his duty to preach the gospel. Luckily, he said that if he preached voluntarily, he's got a reward. But what sort of reward, we don't know. But maybe the reward is in heaven. Maybe the reward is he can get it now. Now, I don't know whether you have successfully led someone to believe in Christ. If you have done so, you know the reward. If someone told you, "Oh, I believe in Christ because of you," because you have been a Christian, a very Christian. Sorry, I just used the word very Christian as adjective. Because sometimes we are very, very non-Christian. Right? There's no such vocab in the dictionary. Christian is an adjective. Maybe you can use Christ-like, but I'm afraid that if I use the word Christ-like, you will say, I never reached that standard. Christian is more grounded. It's more to the ground. Paul said that if you do it voluntarily, you've got the reward. The reward is here and now. You've got joy. You've got the joy of harvest, right? You've got the joy of leading someone to heaven. At the end of the day, when you see Jesus, you've got another version for you. Faithful and good servant. That is another good comment from our Lord. But Paul said, if I don't do it voluntarily, anyway, God has given me the task. God has given me the obligation. God has given me the duty. I have to finish it. Just like my boss pays me a salary to teach in the seminary. Whether I do it voluntarily or whether I do it involuntarily, I still have to teach. Every time I have to arrive at the classroom punctually, right? Otherwise, I've got some sort of complaint from Bianca or her classmates. Get a bad result at the end of the term, and a very bad evaluation. And then the president or Mr. Ken will call me in and say, hey, look at the evaluation. Pack your bag and leave. That's my result, right? If I don't do it. So that's why Paul said, whether you do it voluntarily or involuntarily, you have to do it. But Paul did it in a positive way. When he made his defense to King Agrippa in Acts 30:26, he mentioned that his mission from Christ is as a servant and as a witness. Furthermore, he told King Agrippa, he told him that, he said, King Agrippa, I was not disobedient to the vision from heaven, first to those in Damascus, then to those in Jerusalem and in all Judea, and then to the Gentiles. I preached that they should repent and turn to God and demonstrate their repentance by their deeds. When we look at Acts, the book of Acts, you know that Paul has told everyone his witness, his testimony, just like Bianca just told us. He told 4 times, if you read it. But of course with variation. But the last time he told King Agrippa, he told that he was called by God to be a witness and to be a servant of the gospel. And he was also called to be the apostle to the Gentiles. That's why he was sent to be a missionary going all around Asia Minor and Europe and just to preach the gospel. The main point is, I was not disobedient. I was not disobedient. The double negative is very powerful. Not disobedient. If we say, I'm obedient, it's not that powerful. I would say, I was not that disobedient. But then we say that we are not disobedient to what we have been called to be a gospel preacher or an evangelist. All of us are called to be evangelists. All of us are called to spread the gospel. Maybe we just called to spread our gospel to our friends, to our colleagues. Maybe. But some of you may be called to spread the gospel to the country, overseas, to overseas countries, to Japan, Korea, Taiwan, or to the Muslim countries. But to conclude, what are our missions? We can't say that preaching the gospel is only Paul's mission and not ours. It's not true. But let us look at a story in Second Book of Kings, chapter 6 and 7. The story is very interesting. At that time, Samaria was besieged by Aramean army. And because of it, there was a great famine in Samaria. You know, at that time, Israel is divided into two parts: the northern kingdom, and the southern kingdom. And the southern kingdom is called Judea, and the northern kingdom is called Israel. And Samaria is the capital of the northern kingdom. So it was besieged by Aramean army. And there was a great famine there. And by God's grace, and suddenly the Aramean army retreated. Of course, it's God sent them away. And there was 4 lepers who were at the verge of death because they had no food. The normal person didn't have any food, so let alone the leper. So they have no food, and they take the chance to go to risk their life to the Aramean camp to find some food to eat. To their surprise, the army left, and leaving behind a lot of treasure and food. So, verse 8 say that they have met their desire. They ate what they want. And after that, their conscience come back to them, and the important message is in verse 9. Then they say to each other, what we are doing is not right, because they want to take all the things back to themselves. And this is a day of good news, a day of good news, and we are keeping it to ourselves. If we wait until daylight, punishment will overtake us. Let us go at once and report this to the royal palace. This is a day of good news. Today is a day of good news. We can't keep the good news to ourselves. We have to go and tell others about this good news. So off they go. So brothers and sisters, if we want to keep our passion to preach, it's all about motivation. Motivations comes from obligation. Obligation comes from Christ's commission. So may God bless you in your ministry of preaching the gospel. Thank you.